Up next is a visit with a friend of ours whom we first met 2 years ago at the very first annual East Coast Dark Shadows Festival. He was one of the writers of Dark Shadows, and he began his writing career in the days of early television. And among the soap operas that he has written besides Dark Shadows are The Edge of Night, Love is a Many Splendored Thing, Strange Paradise, which most of us have heard of, Where the Heart Is, The Secret Storm. He was the head writer of Never Too Young, a serial in the 60s which was quite ahead of its time. And most recently he has submitted scripts for the CBS television daytime serial Capital. I'm very pleased to introduce him to you now. Here is Mr. Ron Sproat.
Is this working?
Yes, yes.
Well, I don't really have any formal thing to say, exactly. Thought I'd just answer questions that you might have, because I don't know what you want to know about Dark Shadows. I can tell you about my part of it in that I heard of Dark Shadows when I was working on Never Too Young in California. And sound. Can't hear? Can you hear now? Is that any better?
No, not good.
Oh, maybe this is...
That's not a speak-in mic, that's just for the camera. They don't have a mic for you on
Yeah,
there?
there's one down on the floor. I think you do that.
Is this better?
Oh, yeah.
At any rate, I was hired after the first 13 weeks to go on the show. And the show was, at that time, a little bit different from traditional soap operas in that it had a gothic background with the governess and the big house and a sort of spooky atmosphere. But other than that, it was pretty traditional soap opera. And it evolved during the time I was there, which was until 1969. I was on show a bit over 3 years I was on it. And lots of things happened to it, of course, in that time. And let me see, that's about it. What would you like to know? Yeah.
How does one get to be a writer for soap opera?
Oh, well, I don't know right now. The way I got to be a writer for soap was that I wrote a play. I went to drama school, Yale Drama School, and I wrote a play that was sold to a series. They used to have anthology series that you've probably heard of. This one was United States Steel Hour, and it went pretty well. So I had other offers of work, and one of them was soap opera, which I took because of the steady and so forth. And the first was The Edge of Night, which I did for about 6 months and moved into Love of Life, which I did for a long time after that. And just kept on anyway. But I don't know now. Wish I could be more helpful. Yeah.
The actors and actresses on Dark Shadows give you some ideas about where their characters should go or shouldn't go in the storyline.
Occasionally, yes. Of course, you heard all sorts of things from actors. Sometimes the storyline was affected by the fact that somebody wanted to do a play. So they'd ask for some time off, so therefore we'd block them off. Sometimes they feel their speeches were too long and their schedule was too heavy. Or they complain the other way, that they didn't have enough to do. And that would affect things. Sometimes, particularly when we went back and cast, some of the fun of working on those scripts was the fact that we would give the actors totally opposite things to do. For instance, I don't know if you recall, but Carolyn became Millicent. It was very, very different. It was lots of fun because I knew Nancy, I wanted to give her something. And Joe Carruthers at that time had been playing Joe, who was a very straight, sort of sympathetic leading man, and he was sick to death of it. So he said, let me be a villain for a while. So he said, terrific, it sounded good. So we wrote Nathan Forbes for him. And it was his idea, really, to do that. Also, lots of the storylines were dictated by the actors' contracts. That is to say, they would have different commitments per week. Several of them had to be on 3 times a week. That means they had to be terribly involved in whatever was going on the show. So therefore, we would think, how could Elizabeth be involved in this, and that would change what we did. Yes?
Can you offer some comments on Strange Paradise?
On Strange Paradise? How can I put it? I think Strange Paradise was a misbegotten enterprise. In the first place, it was written in New York and done in Canada, and we never saw the actors, we never saw the sets, we didn't know what was going on out there. And I think it would have worked a lot better if we'd been in closer touch.
The production seemed to be totally different than average American soap operas.
Oh, yes,
There was a
absolutely.
lack of a family in that show.
Yeah,
as well,
absolutely.
which interests me, but not necessarily in a positive way.
Yeah. Well, I don't know anything about the nucleus actors up there. I never met the actors.
Right.
But I do know that most of the actors were flown in to act and given up the deal and so forth, so it didn't encourage much of a family feeling. And
But what I mean is that
also,
there wasn't really like a family on the show. There was this man who was now a widower, and it wasn't like any kind of a family. Like the Collins family is very, very strong in Dark Shadows, and I was wondering why a family like that one wasn't written into the show.
I think they should have had that.
Probably.
I think they should have. I came in after it started. And, I wasn't fond of the show. Truth of that. I found it very hard to do it. I don't know, also it was a difficult show to do because they really didn't have the technical facilities up there that they have here.
Do you happen to know if Marty LeMay was one of the people that had written a few scripts for
He wrote
the
the last 13 weeks.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yes, yes,
But he doesn't
yes,
name
yes.
the show.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. He wrote, I think he wrote the majority of the scripts.
Did you write prior to Barnabas's arrival? Were you writing during that period?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What went on when I presume that Dan Curtis approached the writers and we're adding a new element because the ratings were going down, they wanted to change. What went on among the writers? And also, second question is that when you were writing all during the few years that you worked, how much control did you have over the characters, or did someone tell you this is what I want to happen? Or did you have full control over their behavior and the situations?
Well, that's a complicated question. I'm glad you asked it because it gets into the whole long thing about how this show evolved. As I say, originally it started out to be a pretty traditional soap opera. And the way it changed is that we got through a story that was heavily melodramatic. It was a murder. It involved character's name escapes me, but anyway, Vicky was captured by Matthew, who was played by Thayer David, and terrorized in the old house for a couple of days. And he was done in by all the ghosts of Widow's Hill. They all came back and frightened me to death. And that all seemed to work. That was the first time there was ever a ghost on the show. And we followed it up by a show after that where we used some film that they had taken in Maine. Where there's Catherine Lee Scott has stock in the so she's wandering in and out among columns. And again, that seemed to work. It was great fun. We just loved it. So we had a story coming up that involved a character named Laura. And Laura was the estranged wife of Roger and the mother of David. And it was supposed to be a custody case, custody sort of story. Very straight, traditional soap opera story of the family lining up on either side, picking in the middle and so forth. And all sounding very much like everything we've seen that was being done on other shows. And we were very, very discouraged because Dark Shadows was the bottom of the heap. I mean, at that time, it was just about the lowest rated daytime show on television. So we had a lunch, and we were talking about it, and somebody, I think Dan said, "What if she's dead?" about this character. And we said, "Yeah, what if she is? That sounds terrific. I love the idea." And so anyway, that's when the show took an abrupt turn because those words, "she's dead," changed the complexion of the entire show at that point. Anyway, we played out the Laura story. The ratings seemed to go up a little bit, but the show was very much still in danger of going off the air. And I found out later it had been scheduled for cancellation. Anyway, we were kind of emboldened by the fact that we'd gotten away with this. It was something new to do in soap opera. So anyway, Dan said in his office, one day we had to come up with something to follow that. And he said, "Let's do a vampire." And I thought it was wonderful. The network wasn't very happy about it. Various other people weren't very happy about it. At that time, Dad wanted a vampire who was pure evil, who loved the idea of a character. Looking at the whole level, killing people and slashing and all that. And I didn't like that because I didn't think there was any mileage out of it. I thought he'd get to be a bore in a month. And that's all he did. And so anyway, another writer named Joe Caldwell and I called to have Barnabas the way he is. And they cast John in the role, and he wanted to play him differently, to give different colors to the character. So that he was quasi-sympathetic sometimes, and so driven, and against himself, and so on. And so we ganged up on Dan and got our way in that case. Years later, when they did the movie, I was involved in it, he said, "I finally did it right. I finally did it my way." In any event, we did have that kind of bargaining power where we changed things, do them the way we thought they should be done. What was your second question?
Yeah, how much creative control you had over situations and the characters.
Oh, yeah. We had that much. On the other hand, in plotting sessions, Dan would come up with ideas that he had to do, whether he liked them or not. For instance, none of us was particularly keen at one point, I remember, about having Josette come back from the dead. I don't know why we didn't want to do it, but he wanted her to come out of the ground and terrorize somebody. And we weren't crazy about it. And we said, we've done this so often. I really don't think it's a good idea. 2 weeks of plotting, throw everything out. And work it again, because again, we were working around commitments. We had it all figured out. It's like a jigsaw. You had to figure out how many times we'd use this actor and this actor and this actor. All figured out. This just threw it entirely out of kilter. We didn't make it just work. Just to have somebody lift the veil and make it work. But at any rate, he said, "You're going to do it." So we did it. And she lifted the veil and everybody's sweet. 7 or 8 hours tearing our hair, redoing the whole thing. What do you want? That's what we got. That's what it was. But I will say we had much more control of the show than I think writers do now. We had no network people breathing down our necks at all. In fact, we rarely saw them except at parties. It was strictly Dan.
Wow.
Dan was the man of the show. And it was very much his show. So does that answer the question? Yeah.
When writing a script for a soap opera like Dark Shadows, which is more involved than a weekly television series where you write one script and it's done and you show it once and that's it. How long does it take you to get involved into writing a continuous storyline? And is it difficult to?
You mean how long did it take to write the script?
How long did it take to write the scripts, and how difficult was it to keep that continuous flow going every week?
Terrible. It was simply awful, and it wasn't the writing. The writing time and stuff went very fast. Actually, it would take me on an average of I'd say 6 hours to write a script. That's maybe more, but I was figured about 6 hours. But the time that was consumed in plotting these things was beyond belief. I mean, we would sit and look at each other sometimes for days without doing anything. Or sometimes it would go very smoothly. I mean, if we knew where we were going with it, then we would just go point by point and it would go very fast as we would work out the days. But it was getting together and plotting exactly what would happen day by day. That was the time-consuming thing. Particularly when we were sort of seat of the pants plotting. That is, we didn't know what in the world we were going to do. I was funny watching this just now. This is about a month after I left. And you would think I would have some inkling of what was going on. I have no idea. Very new characters, new situations.
Now, like I said, when you're writing for a weekly TV series, which is a half hour or an hour, it's one script, and as soon as it's done, that's it. And then the following week, it's something different. And when you're doing, a daily show, I mean, how many scripts per week, or is it one script for 1 week, or I mean, how does it?
For one giant script?
Yeah.
No, it's 5 scripts. A script for
One each day.
One each day. They run about 40 pages. It's about 40 pages a day.
Mr. Sproat?
Yeah.
Mrs. Johnson came into the story partway through 1966. How was Liz persuaded to hire her when she hadn't allowed a new servant on the estate in 18 years?
She only hired her. She had a son who turned up. Harry. Yeah. I don't know. I never thought about that. It is strange. It never occurred to me. I don't think there was ever a scene where she was hiring servants. I don't know. She was just there. I thought she was a wonderful actress. Never actually described her. She was very tenable. It was not a very exciting character, but there were certain actors though that you knew would pull it through. You know, I mean, even if the day wasn't the most thrilling, and she was one of them. Because she was very, very, very dependable.
Was she originally supposed to be a more major character?
No, I don't think it was. I'll tell you one function she did serve, and that was when Joan Bennett was off the show. She was a member of the households people could report to when they ran in the door and said something terrible just happened. And so that was a pretty important function, you know. And she was also somebody who always came in and said, "What's happening around you? I don't understand." So that was important too. She was on the show for as long as I can remember. I was very funny because on Love of Life there was a character who was the maid in a house that was supposed to be an enormous house. And there was a character, he was a cook named Chef, strangely enough. And she never appeared. They always say, "Oh, Chef, I'm going out, Chef." I always thought, someday I'd love to see Chef just turn up and say, "Hello." Never did. And it was very strange that she was playing. I think the idea actually was that she was going to be sort of Mrs. Danvers. I think she was going to have an important plot function. I think she was going to be sort of a crazy housekeeper who menaces Vicky. I think that was the idea of having her on the show. Because she was always there. But it just never happened. Yeah.
How do the writers get along with, like, central casting? I mean, you write something for them, you've got an idea of a character in your mind, and then they have to send you someone to fill it. Did it always mesh, or were you at odds a lot? What you had originally planned?
I don't. You mean did we argue about?
Yeah, when
we argued. Yeah.
If you had a picture in your mind of what you really wanted this person to be like, play the character, did you have trouble getting them to agree? I mean, you know, did they keep sending you the wrong type of people, or was it usually pretty well meshed?
No, it was pretty well worked out before. On paper, you know, before the casting. And then we sat in, we insisted, as a matter of fact, on coming in on the casting. Because it was important. I mean, we then had a visual image of who we were writing for, what the person sounded like vocally, and so forth. That's very important. So as I say, that was one of the major problems on Strange Paradise, because we had no idea what people sounded like, how old they were, I mean, what they were. It's a little like finger painting in the dark. Picture what it looks like. As far as how did we get along, there were various writers on the show, but I'd say during the 3+ years I was there, I'd say generally, I don't know, so we've been along pretty well. We've been along. I remember somebody came to interview us one time, and they said, "How do you get along? How do you manage to get along?" We said, "Sam said, we have to." I don't know. We would reach compromises. Of course, it can't go entirely one person's way. I'm afraid it would. Yeah.
The last I heard of Adam, he was at Professor Stokes' house recuperating from a stab wound. Whatever happened to him?
I don't know. I don't know. It's very funny. I've been watching the show because we did it in New York on Manhattan Cable, and I missed it for a while. And then I came back, what happened to Adam? I don't really remember, except I do remember that at that point, this all happened again 20 years ago, so sometimes my memory is really very vague about things. But I do recall that at that point there was a big shakeup because our ratings were down. A lot of us, including me, weren't happy about the show at that particular point. Whether it was Adam, Lee, Nicholas, and the sort of others, and thought it was confusing and needed to be straightened out. which it was when the story came out. But at any rate, just lots of things got dropped. And scripts, about a month of scripts were condensed. Scenes were taken from here, from there, and put together. And in the shuffle, I imagine Adam just disappeared. I don't know what happened to him. He was a very popular character for us. There was another character who did that. Man, this is early on, you probably don't remember these. The show really never had a straight romantic hero, and it was supposed to in the beginning. There was a character named Bert Devlin who came in. And Bert Devlin left, unfortunately. I thought he was played by Mitch Ryan, who was a wonderful, wonderful actor. And in order to replace him, an actor named Conrad Folks came on the show to play a young lawyer from Bangor named Frank, I think. Yes. And Frank disappeared. I went to Bangor. Frank, don't worry about it. He's doing a play. Forget it. He won't sign a contract, so that would be a friend. So possibly the same thing happened to Adam. I don't know, maybe he'll play someplace.
Mr. Sproat.
What have you been doing recently, and have you gotten into any other aspects of writing?
I'm sorry, I can't.
What have you been doing recently, and have you gotten into any other aspects of the film industry other than writing?
No, not really. I taught for a little while at NYU. I got involved in musicals. I've written a couple of musicals that are making the rounds now. One I heard today has been scheduled for a little presentation, let you know about it. It's coming up. We're supposed to be, they want to do it in February, but I think it'll be later than that because we can't work it out. But at any rate, I worked on Capital. That was the last soap I did, and I just decided I didn't really want to do that anymore. So as I say, I've been teaching, and yeah.
Robert Garringer.
Oh, Robert, oh sure, yes, I remember very well.
First he left, and about a week later on, his character was killed off. And the question is, the first thing is that let's see written beforehand, and let's for the president to let's put the cat in man, or do they write the destiny of the decided as the never president. They wanted to get rid of the character.
Oh, why we get rid of that character? Yes, it was because he had other commitments, and he's a wonderful actor. He had been on Love of Life before, so I knew him before Dark Shadows. But he had other commitments and could only commit through a certain date. And we had the decision of whether to continue with another actor in the part, and decided no, that he was good. So good that we didn't think we could replace him. And as it turned out, he had to leave earlier than he anticipated, or else it ran over. So somebody did replace him, as I recall, for about 3 performances. But the character was killed off simply because the actor couldn't do it.
Who are you talking about?
Robert Garringer.
The character?
He played Dr. Woodard.
Dr. Woodard. Original Dr. Dan Woodard. And then there was another
He was sort of a colleague of Grayson Hall's.
Right. She also killed him.
That's right, yes she did.
She helped on this.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
Mr. Sproat.
Yes.
The first year you were with us, you said, you told us that the writers had ultimately, they were ultimately going to reveal that Victoria Winters was in fact the daughter of Elizabeth Stoddard. did they have anything definite in mind as to who they would reveal the father to be, or they just said, well, we'll do it down the road, and then they never got to it? And if they did, could you tell us? And if they didn't, can you think of something off the top of your head?
All that was in the original long story projection, which I never saw. And Dan wouldn't let me see it. He said, we're going off this, we're not going to use it. But yes, originally the thought was that it was going to be hinted very strongly, at least, that she was Elizabeth's daughter. And there was going to be a thing about, is Jason McGuire her father? That was it. It's going to turn out that he wasn't. It was fascinating to see when I actually saw that point of view, but when the show was revived just now, to see when we started the vampire story with the portrait and the jewels, how we were still clinging to the old soap stuff. That it was sort of halfway, one foot out and 1 foot in.
It was still very interesting, I think. I'd love to see the pre-Barnabas episode. But
oh, so would I. As a matter of fact, some of those I really liked. I liked the Laura story a lot.
I don't live in New Jersey, so I don't get the episodes as they're airing up here, but you say you've been watching it, and you just left the show several weeks before the one that aired today.
It was several months, actually.
Several months.
I don't think it's showing.
Were you still with the show when Vicky marries Jeff Clark, and then on their wedding night he disappears back into the past?
Yes.
Because Elizabeth was there at the wedding, and it looked like she was waiting to tell Vicky something. Maybe that night.
Well, maybe she had that in mind. I don't know. I don't know. If I seem to be downplaying those aspects of the show, it's mainly because Dan downplayed those aspects of the show. It wasn't anything he wanted to emphasize. And actually, things like that we snuck in, almost. I mean, things like, if you recall, a major character, Sam, who was the father of Maggie. Sam Evans, right. Died in the middle of an Act 2. And he was a major character. He was on from the very beginning. And he had a daughter on the show. We had an act, I think, that we had plotted, where Maggie reacted to it and wanted to get out of town. And Dan's feeling, possibly right, he said, no, we don't care about that. This isn't that kind of show. So we really had to sneak by a reaction on the part of Maggie that her own father had died. I mean, that's what kind of aversion he had to that kind of material. So Vicky's paternity, I think he really, if we brought up the subject, he would. So
that's a question only he can answer now.
Pardon me?
That's a question only he can answer now.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I guess so. I don't think they really made up their minds. I think it was going to be hinted at that kind of way. It was going to be a mystery. Where she came from. Yes?
I'd like to know what happened to the gentleman that played Angelique's brother when she came back.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Nicholas Blair. Whatever happened to Nicholas, he never comes back to the show.
Yes, he does. Yes, he does.
He'll be back after the flashback's over.
First of all, he's not now as Evan Hanley. Right.
He's also not really
But when they get back into the present period, when Barnabas goes back, he'll be back on as Nicholas. For a few months, too.
Right. I know what you mean, though. People seem to disappear abruptly. That was during the month or so that we had the real shake-up over taking scenes and later scenes from there. And I don't remember, but I know there was a lot of material involving Nicholas that got jumped. I remember writing a lot of it. And so if it seemed abrupt, it was. Yeah.
What was your favorite of all the storylines that you worked on?
Oh, I think my favorite was going into the past because of one idea. But that was my favorite time working on the show.
Tell us about how you got to it.
Well, we needed, actually, it was a practical matter. We had no idea that Barnabas was going to become as popular as he did become, or that the show was going to be as popular as it became. I mean, it was just a surprise. It wasn't a surprise. And so we had only had Barnabas plotted, I think, originally for something like 5 weeks. It was going to be very nice, it was going to be staged, and that was going to be the end of it. And we're going to go on to something else. But anyway, then he got so popular, and then we had to do something with him. And so one of the obvious thoughts was, while we were racking our brains, that we would find out how he became a vampire. And so the idea then was to go in the past. And Gordon and I really wanted to do that. We loved that idea. And Dan didn't, on the grounds that he thought that to do that, he would have to hire a whole new set of actors. He said everybody in the cast except Mickey and Barnabas is different. So I said, why don't you do that like the old MGM pictures where you went every week and you saw different people playing different characters. I thought there was some fun in that. We thought about it. And we thought, well, maybe that might work. So he was a little, that had never been done before, so he was a little nervous about trying it. But anyway, that's what we did. And it worked out. I was very pleased about that. Yeah.
What percent of the daily scripts actually made it taken?
What percent?
How much of the scripts every day actually made it to the time they had to take it?
You mean what got cut?
Yeah, how much was done?
Well, I mean, they did everything. They did the words we wrote. I don't quite understand.
No, I mean, did they have a lot of editing? Like
Oh, yeah. Well, no, yes and no. Yes and no. The thing is, if you've done this after a while, you get a sense of how long something's going to last. So you just know. I mean, you know how many pages, how long an act should be. So that becomes very mechanical. You just figure out how long. Now, sometimes it was necessary to add material because this the script was under for some reason. They would call whoever the writer was to the studio and say, we need new material that's been in this out. So, I remember things like adding scenes with little things with David and Vicky coming down a flight of stairs, talking, adding just conversation to get them around into the main set. It was just nothing. But I mean, it was just to rather than have them discovered in the room, if you understand what I mean, you start them up at the top of the stairs and have them come down. It takes some more time. And then they come into the room. That kind of thing. As far as cutting is concerned, that was done just as a matter of course at the reading. They enforced the tape. They had a stopwatch and they'd say we're 2 minutes over. So they would go through and cut 2 minutes out of it somehow. And it was just a daily thing. As I say, after you've done it for a while, you get a sense of how long it's going to run. So I know early on when I started, my scripts always ran short. Not that one, but never too young. They always ran short. Got dragged into the office and said, by the time I did Dark Shadows,
Why did Dark Shadows go off the air?
well, I wasn't around at that time, so I don't really know exactly.
April 2nd, 1971.
Yeah, but why, she asked?
What? Why? What happened?
Why? Yeah, why? Oh, well, the ratings went down. The theory I what Sam told me, was that the movie killed it. That it did very well in drive-ins around the country and stuff, but that the show was just overexposed and people were sick of it. Now, whether that's true or not.
Why would you think some Wall Street or why would actors make mistakes like that
Because of the
You could repeat what just
okay. The question was, I heard it. Sometimes I can't
why
do
is the
it.
music and sometimes the dialogue or just the actions let go as is rather than corrected?
Economics. Simply because it would have cost him overtime to stop it and let it over again. That's all. I mean, occasionally they would do that. But very, very occasionally. You know, how bad was it? And it wasn't just out and out total disaster. Set falling down and all that. They let it go through. Dan wasn't about to pay, overtime. Simple as that. Yeah.
The last episode that they had, I was unable to see it, and I don't know how the story ended. Do you have any idea?
The last?
The last episode of the show before it went off the air.
Oh, I wasn't, as I say, I wasn't around then. I know that they went back to a story that they wanted to do a room, being walked in a room to die or something. What's that? Somebody watched the show with me. See, I went on to other work after the show. I was very busy.
What I mean was that everybody connected was, just killed.
No. Nobody was killed. They lived happily ever after, literally. Any problems that they had was solved. In that one episode, they solved about 50 problems, and then everybody was happy. Literally.
Yeah, I hope they show it. I want to see that one.
Yeah, well, I didn't quite know what you were asking. Yeah, I'm sure they did, because when I was in California, I worked on a show that went off the air, and there had been an ABC show, I forgot the name of it, but they decided, whoever decided that they wanted to have hue and cry in the public about keeping the show on. So therefore, they had the hero I think he swallowed some sleeping pills. He was about to die. The police were banging on the door. The wife was distraught. There were 17 other problems. They just went off the air, hoping that there would be such a hue and cry that they would bring it back so we'll find out what happened to him. And ABC was furious. And they said at the time of Never Too Young that when we ended that show, that it had to be tied up. It had to be ended. No. But I'm sure the same applied to Dark Shadows.
I just never knew what happened.
Cool to not do that.
I never knew what happened, so just how it ended.
I'm afraid I can't. I'm sure somebody here knows.
If Barnabas Collins did not become as popular as he did, and Beasley said it was a practical matter, whose decision would it have been to have written Barnabas off the show? Your decision or Dan Ross's decision?
Curtis.
Oh, okay.
Well, it finally would have been decided by the viewers. I mean, if the ratings had gone down to nothing, obviously nobody cared.
But you would have been against it, although, I mean, you wouldn't have...
About the vampire? You mean if nobody had liked it?
I mean, although you would have had no choice but to write them off the show, you were just doing your job and you would have been against it.
You would?
Yeah, I don't exactly understand. I mean, there was certain pressure to get rid of some characters by various people. I wanted to keep, and I fought for it.
That's what I meant to mention.
I thought, yeah.
Thank
They were getting rid of all the downtown crowd, what I call the downtown crowd. That is Maggie, Joe, Maggie's father, the sheriff. And I just thought it was a help to have some of those characters. And so I remember Joe was going to be disposed of, and I said, absolutely not. I hate that. And Maggie, too, and they were just going to be exiled. And I thought they were useful characters to have on the show. Plus, I liked them.
It would have been a mistake if you didn't more.
Yeah, I thought so. So, yeah.
Yes, sir, I wondered, two questions. Is the idea from like some of the 1795 stuff with the witches and the witch hunt trash, was that taken from the play The Crucible, Arthur Miller? And maybe that's part of the idea. And also, were there any like other specific little plot twists or turns or things that you created people who would know tell us about?
Well, first of all, about the Crucible, I don't know that was necessarily the.
Well, because Trask said in an interview in California that he played a role like the guy in the Crucible, and I just wanted to think the writers have
No, we didn't really. No, I remember I thought Reverend Trask was a good character, and I liked writing that. I think he was Jerry Lason. He probably said that. Well, he probably meant he was thinking of the play while he was working on the part. I mean, we didn't consciously model it after that. But no, but that's.
Yeah, were there any other specific twists or plot things that you wrote that you created solely yourself and you could tell us about maybe?
Oh, gee, that was day by day stuff. Yeah, sure. I mean, but I can't offhand. I mean, there were so many.
Is it true that the point wasn't to say anything and then you had to bum them to speak?
Oh, yeah. Well, he didn't say anything one day, and then he had some lines, and it was so effective that he didn't speak. It just seemed better for him not to speak. So what he had to say was just one or two things. So we just cut it, and we kept it mute for as long as humanly possible, because those appearances were very effective that way. I mean, what he had to say wasn't that much anything. As I recall, that was about the time I was leaving.
Mr. Sproat? The last month of 1795 is almost entirely made up of Nathan Forbes making trouble because everybody else is practically dead. Did you extend that farther than originally planned?
Oh, yes, much farther. Much farther. It just seemed to be working so well. That's damn it by the ratings. We had to, and they were quite good. As a matter of fact, went down. And after it was over. Oh, yes, we did. I wanted to extend it longer. I liked this character. And I thought they were a lot of fun. And we were able to do what we could never do in the present day. We really kill them. And that was one terrible problem in writing this, because we had this core set of characters, and nobody could really be polished off, finally. I mean, because they had commitments. So we had our cake and ate it too. We passed. Joan Bennett could take poison and die and pass it for that. But yeah, that's right. I mean, it was heavily Nathan Forbes for about a month there because he was one of the few living characters.
Mr. Sproat?
Yeah.
Do you remember how you developed the character of Millicent?
Well, yes. In that, we were just having fun with things Nancy could do, and We tried to write the exact opposite of Carolyn, the exact opposite of what she'd been waiting for. I mean, instead of a neurotic, modern girl, she was ditzy, foolish, silly, humorless. It was sweet. Kind of character of the past. And it was fun because by that time we'd all written for her. And we knew she had a lot of range and she could play anything we put down for her to do. So we just figured out crazy stuff for her to do. And the actors very much in that case were the experts. What to give that character.
And how did you decide on the form of insanity that she developed?
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, we just said at the beginning she's going to be nutty as a fruitcake. Psychiatric. Yeah.
You're plotting out the flashbacks. How do you manage the research that you did, especially for like names and idioms that you use in the speech and historical backgrounds?
We really didn't do any particular kind of research.
Just feel familiar with that period?
Yeah. I guess, I don't know. I mean, we just wrote, I don't know what, bogus concrete, I don't know. I mean, we threw a few phrases, give it that kind of flavor. I mean, other than that, it was really modern day speech. I mean, it really wasn't that different. We just use a few phrases to give it kind of archaic flavor. And that's not. But it wasn't, no, it wasn't research style. I thought Sam was particularly good at it. Yeah.
Was there any purpose, what was the purpose of the second 1795 flashback when Barnabas goes to help Vicky when she's in contact with Peter? It just seemed like it was like a week, let's get Barnabas back to pass one more time. It just seemed slapdash and very quick.
It was slapdash and very quick, yes. That's right. Well, that was from a decision on high. The show didn't seem to be working that well in the present. And Dan said, let's get her back in the past in a hurry. So they got her back in the past. But that was when I was just in the process of leaving. So I remember writing the scripts, but I wasn't quite as involved at that time as I had been prior to. So it's very funny, you sense things really quick. Actually,
Thank you very much, Mr. Sproat. We really enjoyed your presentation. Despite what was announced earlier, Mr. Sproat will not be available for autographs at this time. And I'm going to say something that he's too courteous to say. He's suffering from bronchitis tonight and is having trouble with his voice, of all things, and yet he still came out and visited with us for an hour, and I think that deserves another hand. We appreciate your commitment and your interest and your time, and we've learned a lot from your presentation, Mr. Ron Sproat.